Michelle Bollinger owes us. She owes us the truth. When I say us, I mean all of us. All of this was over bullshit and lies. All of this to cover up and cover for Alycia Michelle Bollinger and the things that she and her friends, including Maddie Boa, did. Well, you think Natalie was alone in this shit? No, she was fucking pressured. You know, that was Natalie's fucking biggest gripe there. It wasn't that her fucking daddy touched her wrong. It wasn't that mommy didn't fucking care. I mean, yeah, she went into details about a lot of shit that holy fuck, you guys just don't want to hear it. That's the problem. You just don't want to hear it. Now you see how many people got involved. How many people that were not Alycia Michelle Bollinger. You see how all the way from the very start, the right thing to do and the legally proper thing to do was not done. And that goes from law enforcement to the hospital in Chesapeake, Virginia, to the mental health specialist that they had there, to the police officer who took me to the hospital. All of that is a matter of public fucking record. So here's the thing about threatening to kill my friends and family. This is all a matter of public record. But did you try looking that stuff up? Did you bother to find out if I was arrested in Chesapeake, Virginia? No, you didn't. You didn't bother. You didn't bother to check your information. You didn't bother to find out if it was a fact or not. You just assumed and fucking ran with it. And see, that's all of your sin. It's your pride saying that you know better than somebody else who lived it. You want to tell me how it is in situations you were not there for based on what fucking evidence? This is what I want to know. What fucking evidence of any of this shit that you're accusing me of with Natalie? Where is it? Where the fuck is it? They didn't follow protocol because they didn't think they had to follow protocol because it was a homeless and disabled person and no one gives a shit. They had to lure me to Boulder, Colorado to serve me with an illegal fucking protection order. And it was illegal. As far as protection orders go, man, I have looked this stuff up and looked this stuff up and looked this stuff up. And everything that I find says that yes, even the judge committed multiple felonies. Judges. But you just don't care. They already made the legal precedents with homeless people to allow them to do whatever the hell they want to anybody at any point in time. The legal precedence is already there in literally thousands upon thousands of court cases. Court cases that were lost by the victims because their rights were not observed. And you get to see out here how many people are afraid to come forward, afraid to speak up. afraid that if they tell on the cops will fucking retaliate. And retaliate they do. They twist and manipulate and lie and cheat and steal. Oh, and they do it all legally. If they deprive me of the resources to even pay my goddamn car, do everything that they can to prevent me from having access to that help. Claiming that they're helping me by telling me to go places I don't have the ability to go. Not understanding at all. Going out of their way, matter of fact, not to. So let's get back to Alycia Michelle Bollinger. The evidence that I have shows that Alycia Michelle Bollinger, Natalie Bollinger, and their family not only lied, but did so intentionally. They and their friends committed a lot of felonies, up to and including impersonating a lot of different professions. How is that fucking okay? To slander my name to the point that I literally cannot get help. I had to go to my predators for help and hope that they weren't going to be predatory again. Do you know how fucking stupid that is? Now, through all this, I'm told you're supposed to have this and you're supposed to have that. Hey, if you fill out this paperwork and if you fill out that paperwork and they're supposed to do this and they're supposed to do that, and then they don't. What the fuck did I just waste all my goddamn time on, you fucking pieces of shit? And that's a good point, isn't it? While my people are fucking dying, you're pissed off that I fucking curse at stupid fucking cunts that get people fucking killed. Are you out of your fucking mind? You want to try to make any sort of fucking comparison with that? You are so completely fucked in the head, you should stick your head in the toilet and fucking flush. This is the United States of America, right? Where you have the right to victimize people who can't defend themselves. Oh, sure, we got laws that say it's illegal, but look at this. Look how many times they have made a disabled and homeless man repeatedly have to go to police officers who have committed crimes against him personally, that he is trying to turn in personally. This is really the cops you're going to make me go to. You guys expect me to be happy for no fucking reason. You are not separated from each and every single one of your fucking loved ones and forced into a fucking hell like this. On the bright side, you know, with all of this chaos in the world, all of these people running around shooting people in the head, lighting places on fire, fucking blowing shit up, at least I'm not one of them. Also, I've decided that the police report here in the Dalles is probably the most important. So, 4 o'clock tomorrow, when I go and talk to Dan, I will be filling out the paperwork to turn in the officers here in the Dalles. the police only, because as far as I'm aware, other than dispatch, I made sure that I steered clear completely of the sheriff's department. I did try to call them today to try to get something established and going, but it looks to me as if that's a good thing. Because it means they're not implicated in anything yet. That's not saying that they will be. I have not seen any harsh involvement or any harassment or any intimidation whatsoever from the sheriff's department here. Now, if a few of those calls were the sheriff's department since I got to the Dalles, all right, well then I'll have to retract that statement because it would be incorrect. There's a lot of stuff that was incorrect simply due to the fact that there is so much. Like sometimes when I'm here in Oregon, instead of saying the Oregon State Troopers, I say Nebraska State Patrol. The reason for that is because I spent a lot of time trying to talk to the Nebraska State Patrol. Right? Natalie Marie Bollinger deserves justice. Alycia Bollinger deserves peace and safety. But Alycia Bollinger will have to repent. And repenting doesn't exactly mean what she thinks it means. All right, let me explain something about repenting. Let's say there's two men, right? And both of them beat up somebody who doesn't deserve it. Say they heard a rumor that he had done something he hadn't, and they went and they crippled the guy for the rest of his life. So between these two guys, one of them, when he finds out, he decides that he's going to take it to his grave. He's never going to tell anybody that it was a mistake, and he's going to try to keep it to himself. And both of these men feel shame, and neither one of them are going to do the right thing in this story. I'm going to let you know that. Well, in part. Now, that first guy, he doesn't tell anybody what he did, and he doesn't tell anybody what the other guy did. He keeps it to himself, never tells a soul. Then there's the other guy. The other guy, he finds out that the man he beat up didn't do it. And he sees how bad he messed the guy up. The guy's homeless, he's out on the streets, he's got nothing, and can't defend himself, can't nothing. So this guy who had beat him up until he's stuck in that wheelchair, crippled for the rest of his life, can't move, can't walk, can't nothing. You know, I mean, he's messed up. And he don't actually have anybody that's going to care for him. Now you guys got all sorts of scenarios where you're going to try to be assholes, but there's a reason I'm telling this story. We'll stick to it for the morals. Because a lot of your bullshit, yeah, in concept it's supposed to work that way, but in reality it don't. The second guy, he takes the man that he beat up home. He says he's sorry for doing it. And he takes care of that man for the rest of his life. Takes care of all of the man's needs, every one of them. Makes sure that he gets to see the best nurses, the best doctors, the best hospitals. Now with the health problems, you know, that man eventually dies. You know, he's been real messed up for a lot of years, and the best medical care ain't gonna keep you alive forever. So the two men that beat him up, they're getting to the end of their lives. Each one of them, they pray. Each one of them, before they die, says, "I'm sorry for what I did. Please forgive me." Only one of those two men repented. The right thing to do would be for both men to be behind bars for what they did. That's what should have happened. What should have happened is that both of those men who beat a man until he couldn't function as a human being anymore, both of those men should have been put in prison. But between the two of them, one of them lived a wicked life. Had no qualms with living a wicked life. And before he died, he asked for forgiveness because he was afraid of hell. The other man, he asked for forgiveness because he knew he had done wrong. And he knew it had been a horrible wrong, and he did spend the rest of his life trying to do the right thing, as far as his understanding. By his understanding, that man whose life he destroyed still deserved to be given the best treatment that he possibly could. I feel bad for all of these people of religious beliefs because, as a scientist, I don't believe in God, but I don't not believe in God. I believe in the possibility of a God. Because I believe in the possibility of a God, but do not believe in a God, I understand that by the religion that I was taught growing up, I will be going to hell when I die. Well, it's a small price to pay for your salvation. No, I'm not comparing myself with Jesus. He had one Judas. I have many. A lot of those people knew that they had done wrong, and they tried to make up the best that they could without telling on themselves. Without admitting that I told the truth, because they didn't want to get in trouble. They were understandably ashamed. The unfortunate fact is that if I had killed myself, these people would not have dug themselves a tunnel straight to hell, so to speak. Each and every one of these people had the chance to come forward and tell the truth. Each and every one of them had the chance to do the right thing and to be honest before anyone was hurt. I'm afraid that if I show any emotion, I'll be victimized. And you guys get to see how you guys make excuses for anyone who wants to hurt me, anyone who wants to harm me, anyone who wants to threaten me. You egg them on. It's like watching football for you guys. You're sick. Now, I see the chaos around me. When I do that screaming and shouting about horrible shit, I pick local news. That's right. Go back through. I literally pick stuff from the local news from wherever I'm at. Here, everybody's afraid of fire. Yeah, rightly so. Look across the river, it's fucking brown. The whole thing over there, it's all brown. It only looks like green here because I'm way up here and we're looking through the canopy of trees. But on the other side, ain't so many trees. A grass fire there would go, it'd go pretty far actually. It's tough to get up that incline with a vehicle and a hose. And grass fires in the windswept areas, such as next to a river like this, well, it can spread quick, fast, and in a hurry. Grass fires ain't no joke. Ask the people in Lodgepole, Nebraska, and Chapel, Nebraska, and Julesburg, Colorado, and Ovid, Colorado. Grass fires ain't no joke. Now, with that story of sinners and all these people actually committing these sins and running around doing these things, and you guys want to pretend like I might. Well, I might. Anybody might. But might does not make right. My brother believes that shit. Because you can beat somebody up, you're right. My brother thinks that if he wants to say 2 plus 2 is 5, I better agree or I get beat up. That's literally how it was when I was a child. Yeehaw. But I didn't spend a lot of time with him. And at our first foster home in Scotts Bluff, shit, we got along famously. We didn't have a problem. We both went into the system very young because our parents couldn't stay off the cocaine, and they both came out very different. Very different from one another and very different from what we could have been. But woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? A lot of people say don't live in the past, and then they want to use excuses from the past that aren't even true. Through all of this, all these people who claimed that they would help me, they didn't bother to look at the evidence that this shit was slander. Wanted to use slander for their excuse not to help me. Slander that I was trying to show them was slander. Fucking brilliant. My intent is to get my evidence seen. I would say by whatever means necessary. However, there are things I am not willing to do. Now, I assure you that if I'm in any city in America and I've got two sides shooting at each other, I'm probably going to pick my side. Now, in that particular scenario, I will protect who I choose, when I choose. And if there is a situation where I am in need of a rifle, somebody will put one in my hands. That is assured anywhere I go in the United States. Second Amendment and all that, and I'm a hell of a shot. No sense letting that go to waste. But for now, there's no need to defend myself with a firearm. There is no need to defend my loved ones with a firearm. There is no purpose for a firearm in my life. None. Don't want one, don't need one, don't have one. Easy. Easiest thing in the goddamn world. You know why I never get busted with a gun like Ted Bollinger? Because I never have a gun. I don't own a fucking gun. Although I am going to inevitably have to take credit for one. Have to. I built it. See, I got all these people throwing stuff in my face. They want to tell me, Sean, you never admit to nothing. And then they literally throw in my face something that I admitted to. Every fucking time. Every goddamn time. Well, if it's something that actually happened. Otherwise, they throw something in my face that I'm like, where the fuck did you get your information? Holy Christ. Kind of like when Natalie died. I want to tell you something here. I was born October 18th, 1980. I will be 42 on October 18th of 2022. Now, near as I can tell, it is still not October 18th of 2022, which means I am not 42 years of age. Now, these news articles and YouTube and web sleuth places, they literally could not get my fucking age right. Neither did Leslie Snell. Nobody did. Living out here ages you quick. When I say violence is never the answer, but it is always okay to defend yourself, I fucking mean it. I absolutely believe in Grandfather Colt. If you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you. You've got a 300-pound man who is on drugs and wants to rape something. He's 6'4". You got a 4'8", 98-pound woman. She's by herself. What is it that makes her equal? Well, he could have Granddaddy Colt, and she could have Granddaddy Colt, but one of them's going to be quicker on the draw. It's a great equalizer. Now, if that were the scenario, which it's not, then I would have every reason to have a firearm placed into my hands. Now, when Wendell McPhee placed a firearm into my hands after Natalie was killed, there wasn't a whole hell of a lot of purpose in me having it except for testing it and going out shooting. Make sure that it's shooting straight. When Sandy Fromm put a pistol in my hands out at her farm, it was because she was afraid of her brother. She expected that me, as a man, if her brother came out with a shotgun intended on doing harm to her, that I would be the one that would have to do something about it. In her mind, I was the right person for the job. Now, here's the thing about being on my side. If I'm on my side, I'm not going to follow the rules of either side. You know, if the Democrats and Republicans go to war on every city and township in America, I'm not going to be on either one of their sides. Being on my side, I can save as many lives as I can, because there's obviously, if people are shooting each other in the streets, there's a lot of fucking idiots who are going to bleed to death without proper care. It's too bad we lost a good man in the EMT when Stephen McMillian died. Broke his own neck. Now, I figure the way things are going, you probably got about 6 months. The rhythm is picking up. Look at the shootings. Faster and faster and faster and faster, and every day and every day and every day. And now it's 2 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day, 3 a day. Just keeps increasing tempo. Now either they're going to grab a scapegoat and put an enemy, a common enemy, there and try to, of course, stabilize the government by cleaning up the streets. That's how it started with Hitler's Germany. First, we got to clear all the homeless and the mentally ill so people can't see them. Who cares where you put them? We also got to have a common enemy. Back then it was the Jews, right? Well, today it's not the Jews. Today it's the homeless. It's to me that my camera froze up. So I hope it's still recording. Now, my intent in all this is to change the laws so that we're treated like human beings. If the government is able to centralize an enemy for everyone in America to hate, you let them violate the rights of several million people here in America. That's right, you'll allow several million Americans' rights to be violated. So that's the problem with studying history. You know history. You know how people act and what it means, what they're going to do, what they're willing to do, and how desperate they're getting. Now, with all these people that are violating my constitutional rights by harming me over maybes, oh, he could do this. You know what? You could too. Leslie Snell, I would be afraid of her cutting her own dog's head off if I lived in Chapel, Nebraska. I would not put it past somebody with the literal stack of felonies with her name on them in my court paperwork. A stack of felonies with her name, signature, and stamped with her stamp. Felony after felony, all committed on my paperwork. All somebody's got to do is put the criminal and the civil paperwork together, which they say they can't do. But once you put the civil and the criminal paperwork together, you realize that not only her, but Scott DaCosta cannot hide their felonies any longer. Not even with the judge's help. All this drama, all this hell, all this bullshit that I've had to go through, all because Alycia Bollinger and Natalie Bollinger were arguing over a boy. Yes, I knew that Natalie Marie Bollinger had a really super fucking big crush on me. Yes, I was well fucking aware of that. I didn't go to Virginia because she had a fucking crush on me. I went to Virginia because she said that she was gonna fucking kill herself over her family if I wasn't on my way already. And then she fucking tried. Now, when I originally started planning the trip, I planned on seeing a few other people. When Maddie Boa said that she wasn't going to be able to go because she got busted selling meth, well, I planned on seeing a few more people. And I had the money to go see them too. If I hadn't gone back up there to rescue Jamie, whether she wants to call it a rescue or not, James wants to call it a rescue or not, at least James is willing to admit in court that I helped Jamie to move out of there. Jamie, I'm sure, if dragged into fucking court, would admit that I paid for that. I didn't pay for her to move. I didn't pay for her new apartment. I didn't pay for any of that stuff, but I paid for my gas to get up there. I paid for my food. I paid my way. That was the money that I was supposed to have to go travel to see a lot of different people. But when I went back and rescued Jamie instead, that ate up all of my money. Matter of fact, it ate up so much of my money that I had to earn money to go back. That's when Dennis Dickinson was a real big dick. When he wanted to get compensated for the food that I was eating and the coffee that I had drank after a hard day's work. That's completely fucked up. And Brenda Dickinson sat there and said nothing. Well, he bullied me out of $40 that I needed so that I could, of course, go on that trip. I wish I'd have recorded the conversations between Natalie and I, especially during that period of time. You know, a lot of y'all, you say, well, did you record it? Did you record it? Well, the stuff that I did record, I didn't do so intentionally. The only reason that I have the Facebook Messenger between Natalie and I is because she fucking died. Now I can see it in every word, and I can show that I'm telling the truth. Now, these web sleuth groups are telling lies to get people killed, and they're telling them to literally millions of people. All it takes is for one bored housewife to walk through the supermarket and see me buying fucking groceries, and all of a sudden I gotta deal with a fucking real big goddamn problem on my hands. Here's the thing. Leslie Snell was coached into how to play victim. But the evidence is enough to put her behind bars possibly for the rest of her life. She committed a lot of fucking felonies. A whole goddamn stack of them. And her felonies also show that, well, her, William Barr, Robert Warnick, and the Dual County Sheriff, along with his deputies, and of course, former deputies like Jared Hahn, and of course, there's also the county clerk, Paulie Olson. There's also the county prosecutor, Mr. Starkey. The great thing about my paperwork from Nebraska, from Leslie Snell, is that it ties all of their felonies in together and makes it irrefutable. It would have been better for Natalie Bollinger if she really believed in hell, really believed in God. Well, she would have repented before she died instead of trying to frame an innocent man. Alycia Bollinger, if she really believed in Jesus, would repent. she's not going to, though, so she's going to go to hell with her sister. And that's sad to me. Do I believe in hell? No. No, I absolutely don't. I don't believe that any loving creature would want to torture anything for all fucking eternity. That doesn't sound like love at all. If there is a God, I should be fucking terrified of it. Love it? No. No. Why would I love a creature that would allow the things that have happened to me in my lifetime to happen to anyone? My goals are still the same. To show the truth, to get rights for those who have none, a voice for the voiceless, of course. But I really want assisted termination of life to be legal for anyone. You know that kid with Down syndrome down the street? You hardly ever see him. He's locked up in his mom's house all the time. You don't know what he's going through. You just know her side of the story. For him, he's locked in his room all the time. He's abused, and he just has to take. When it comes to people taking abuse, there's a guy named Jeremiah. He's from Chapel. He's schizophrenic. And his mother, Lori, treated him horribly in front of other human beings, treated him like he's a fucking pack mule, took advantage of him for his hospitality and his place to stay, and she treated him like a fucking animal. He told me on more than one occasion that he wanted his life to end. So that kid with Down syndrome down the street from you, when he's abused because he has no rights, he wants to be allowed to meet people and make friends. He's not allowed. And then he throws a tantrum because everyone refuses to treat him like a human being. There's locks on the door. Just lock him in. Say it's for his own safety and for yours. It's for his own safety, right? What kind of a life is he going to have? You're going to eat this. You're going to eat this. You're going to take these pills. You're going to do what I say. If you talk back to me, we're going to take you back to the doctor and tell him you don't behave. And he's going to give you more drugs. Yeah, I do believe that somebody who is chronically ill and has cancer and is on their last leg of life, there's nothing that can be done. I do believe that they should be allowed assisted suicide. Yeah. But I also believe that man with Down syndrome, he should have access to that very same right. Nobody's ever going to listen to him. His mom can do whatever she wants. Say it's for his own good. I'm just trying to protect him. then there's always the honeymoon period. All that time they're nice after they do something horrible to you. But you know what? When you're disabled, you don't get that honeymoon period because there's no fear of repercussions for their crimes. So the law is against the victim. But then we've got the Bible, right? Again, it's supposed to be fear that keeps people in line, isn't it? Fear of going to hell if you commit those sins. But then you commit those sins in God's name because you don't want to get in trouble. You swear to God all up and down. And you guys who hate me because I curse. You know, there's a lot of people who call themselves Christians that want to say that I'm a devil worshiper because I say, God damn it. Well, how can that be true? I'm not using the Lord's name in vain. I'm actually using it contextually proper. Well, we got another asshole on here being a dick. So what do? We take a screenshot. And then what do? Hide user on this channel. Blam! Problem solved. Can't do that to a predator in real life. It doesn't work. Of course, he'll make another profile, watch. So we've got predators right here on my channel, going out of their way to show that they can be predators outright and deliberate. That there are no repercussions for them. Just like there were no repercussions for Natalie Bollinger. Just like there are no repercussions for Alycia Bollinger. There are no repercussions for any of these people. They can operate freely and sin at will. Who's going to believe me anyway? I'm mentally ill. Oh, he's got evidence? Well, we don't have to look at that. He's mentally ill. Oh, people are assaulting him and threatening to kill his family. Well, he's mentally ill. We don't care. We're not going to look. And then there's all the people who wanted to claim that they were my friends. Oh, Sean, I trust you. And I kept on telling them, don't trust me. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to know beyond any shadow of a fucking doubt. And that means looking at the evidence. I need you to speak up, not hide in the corner like a coward. But then again, you should look at the slander against me. If you heard that kind of shit about your best friend and you knew it wasn't true, would you speak up? What about if it wasn't your best friend? What about if it was Sean Schwartz, the dude who helps everybody? Oh, Sean, you can't save the world. You can't help everybody. You know what? It's not that difficult to help everybody. It's not that difficult to change the laws if you work together. Right now we got this abortion crap being pressed on us, and that's a good attention grabber. It is. Because that's something that ultimately they know that they're going to have to relent. We all know that. We all know which direction this country is going as far as that particular issue goes. Just a matter of time. Now, for the people that don't believe in the Jesus, those people are, well, they're the same as me in one aspect. According to what Christians believe, none of us are going to get into heaven. The sad thing is that neither are these Christians, if there is such a place. Now let me tell you a story about that man. Remember I was telling you the story earlier in this about the two men who beat a man until he was completely disabled. How I told you at the end of the story, neither one of them was going to do the right thing. And they didn't. The right thing to do would be to come forward and face your consequences, which I have done. In addition to that, I have accumulated more consequences, which have yet to be paid, but I am trying to get to that portion. I am trying to get to the part where I am allowed to show the crimes that I have had to commit. Because see, here's the problem with Rochelle Shelley Campbell and Danica Garner and, of course, the police. All of these places that I give free reign of the evidence to, all of them, at some point in the last 6 years have had free reign of it. Every single one of them could have taken a look. If my predators wanted to go through and find the videos where I explain that this is all for the law, that every bit of it is intended as evidence, and that it is theirs, it is their property, which this video counts as well, then you will understand that from day one, not only did I admit to my sins and my crimes loud and proud on Facebook and YouTube, but I have been trying to give it away. I have been trying to give it away to my enemies so that they can do with me as they please, because my so-called friends and loved ones obviously don't deserve me anyway. So here's the thing, I told you there's a lot of stuff I'm not capable of doing. A lot of stuff I'm not capable of doing. And you guys want to call me weak. There's a lot of people that wanted to say, oh, well, you didn't kill Ted Bollinger, so you're weak-minded. Well, you and I got different ideas of what weak-minded is. You also got different ideas of what tough is. So you guys think that beating somebody up makes you tough. No. That motherfucker who took a beating until he was in a goddamn wheelchair, that guy's tough. That's tough. I may not be in a wheelchair. My disabilities may not be disabilities that are obvious to you. But your assumptions of my disabilities are based on ignorance. You see somebody in a wheelchair, you're not going to expect them to jump hurdles, are you? You know that their disability prevents them from jumping hurdles, don't you? Do you know what a human being in a state of survival and crisis, do you know how disabling that is? It is quite enabling, but it's only enabling when you get to the point where you no longer give a fuck about the law, because when you're in survival mode, you're just trying to survive. If killing a rabbit in the middle of the city will keep you from starving to death, you'll fucking do it. Look at the sieges of Leningrad and Stalingrad. People were literally cooking their own infants to try to survive. That's a survival instinct there, ain't it? That's stuff you don't want to hear about, but you know what? That's reality. With each and every one of these people, they're afraid of their own sins and their own crimes, and afraid that people will believe me. They're afraid that people will look at the evidence and that they will come and get them and carry them off in the middle of the night. Or even worse, these officers might be taken into an interrogation room, put in cuffs, and have their uniform cut from their bodies by their former co-workers, as we have seen on multiple occasions. Natalie Marie Bollinger is not here to tell the truth, but Alycia Bollinger is still alive. And had I not been prevented from having a day in court to face Natalie Marie Bollinger and Alycia Michelle Bollinger, had I not been illegally prevented from that and prevented from my rights, things would be a lot different right now. Matter of fact, Natalie would probably just now be getting out of prison. Her family was trying to put her in prison, and so was I. When I say that they committed a lot of felonies against me before Natalie was killed, that's not a joke. With the paperwork, the court paperwork from Scott DaCosta, Leslie Snell, Robert Warnick, and William Barr, their own statements, and of course the paperwork from the courts show that yes, they did conspire to prevent me from being allowed to go to court, present evidence, or turn them in. Also, the recordings with Nebraska State Patrol shows that Nebraska State Patrol conspired with Scott DaCosta going all the way back to 2018, right around the 4th of July. Now that evidence, you got to look at all of it, and you got to listen to all of it. If you listen to the conversations between myself and State Trooper Bill Burr, or William Burr, if you listen to the conversations between him and I, he claimed that he turned that stuff in back in 2018 like he was supposed to. And also on the day that, well, just before I was assaulted by Scott DaCosta and State Trooper Lassen, while, of course, Bill Burr walked as far away as possible, so I literally had to scream so that I could make sure that Stephanie Mejia heard me. That's how far away Bill Burr went, so that he could make sure that Stephanie Mejia didn't hear any of the crimes that were being committed by Scott DaCosta and State Trooper Lassen. Now, what's this got to do with Alycia Bollinger? Well, every single bit of this is all because Alycia Bollinger has to get with Alycia Bollinger once. That's the biggest thing. Out of everything that Natalie Bollinger complained about, that's the thing she complained about the most, and the thing that hurt her the most, and the thing that made her want to kill herself the most. Whatever Natalie had, Alycia wanted. And Natalie always gave it up. Alycia was her best friend. No matter what, she would give everything, including her own life, for her sister. And ultimately, she did. She made sure that her sister got what she wanted. She found a way to make sure that Alycia got what she wanted. She gets all of the attention. She can have all of it forever. No, you can't, Alycia. Natalie deserves her day in court, and all of her words deserve to be heard, including the words that she said to me. All of it, not just the parts that you want to twist like some sick, twisted fucking Nazi to fit your goddamn racist fucking agenda. When I say Alycia is going to Hades, that's not a threat. I've read the Bible. I know what it says. I also know the interpretations, and I like to believe that maybe someday these people will actually believe in their deity enough to actually follow them 10 commandments. But how can I expect them to believe in a God that I don't believe in? I can't. Yeah, they claim to be Christians, but they're not. Not even close. They're manipulators. Many of them harboring more hatred than you can even imagine. I love Alycia Michelle Bollinger. Let me explain to you about my quote-unquote hate. It's not hatred. It's pain. Nothing but pain, and I feel it throughout my entire body. Physical pain. You just don't get that. You don't understand that. That one little rumor. My message is between me and Natalie Bollinger. They show that one little rumor is what all this is over. Every single bit of it. The rumor that I stalked somebody that I didn't. And how completely out of control that got. There's zero evidence of me stalking anyone. There's evidence of me begging people to tell the truth. Begging people to tell the truth, from Natalie Bollinger to Maddie Boa to Alycia Bollinger to Rochelle Shelley Campbell to Danica Garner to Rose M. Kelly. You know, Ted Bollinger would be off the fucking streets if those women would speak up. Ted Bollinger would never see the light of day. Ted Bollinger couldn't harm my little sister or my niece or any of my loved ones, even if they hate me now. I've been here long enough. I could have burned the whole town to the ground. The fact that I could, does that make it okay to harm me as if I did? And that's what this comes down to. The answer is no. The answer is no. I state my intent loud and fucking clear. But I'm going to impress upon you the fact that I could. Because that's what you guys want to push. I could, I could, I could. I get it, and so could you. So could Alycia Michelle Bollinger. You know, it's funny. This is probably the funniest goddamn part of the whole thing. I admitted my worst sins, the worst sins of my entire life. I admitted to live on Facebook in December of 2017. That was the month Natalie was killed. That's right, my worst sins. So all these people who want to be angry because their sins are on YouTube and Facebook, well, that's not my choice. I chose to post the truth. What you chose to tell me was all up to you. Some of these people admitted to sins that they didn't want the whole world to know about. They thought it was going to be private. I told them it wouldn't be. And no matter how much I tell people that I'm not going to keep their secrets, they still expect me to do so. No. If you are going to help me, none of the things that you tell me are secrets. You do not have the right to privacy when you speak to me about my situation and my case. If you choose to speak to me about your situation and your case, understand that it will be posted more than likely either you're going to help me or you're not. But I'm going to record every interaction when I can so that I can show the truth of what happened. If you are going to contact me, keep in mind that you are subject to the same rules and regulations of my autocratic dictatorship. That's right. Anybody who wants to troll, harass, lie, or mislead, it's easy to get rid of you from my Facebook and my YouTube. If you've got actual evidence to show, well, why don't you ask me, and I'll send it to you in its entirety. How about instead of pulling out the little bits and pieces that you want to twist into something they're not in the conversations between Natalie Bollinger and I, why don't you just, well, ask to see it? All of it. All of this. Because Alycia Bollinger is selfish. We already knew that. It's no secret. If Alycia Michelle Bollinger had any remorse whatsoever, she'd tell the truth or kill herself. She has done neither, which means that she has no remorse for her sins. She has no remorse for her crimes. And she is obviously getting what she wants. She wants to do drugs, and she wants Sean Schwartz to be punished. Well, Sean Schwartz for surely is punished. what these people wanted to look away from is that if I'm not afraid of my sins to the point that I literally posted my worst sins on Facebook before Natalie was killed, what the fuck makes you think that I will hide your shame? You didn't come forward and tell the truth because you made mistakes in the past? Well, guess what? So did Ted Bollinger. Ted Bollinger raped his own daughters. Now, I didn't have any knowledge of him doing that to Alycia, other than Natalie saying that it was both of them. But to what degree, I don't know, because Alycia Michelle, according to Natalie, Alycia turned in Ted for what he did to Natalie, not for what he did to Alycia. Natalie said Ted was raping her, but they just turned him in for a beating. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't have access to Ted Bollinger's. Well, we know that he was arrested for child abuse, for abusing Natalie. But in specific, what did he do? What did they actually turn him in for? Anybody who wants to tell me that they're Christian, you know, I don't feel bad for non-Christians about this. We're all in the same boat. But if there is a heaven, I want you to go. I want you to go to your heaven. If there is a God, which I pray to God there isn't, if there is a God, I do want these people to be allowed sanctuary and paradise, but really anything other than eternal torture. I didn't want that for Natalie. That was assisted suicide. Now, according to the way that Jesus died, as well as the way that the Jews at Masada died, assisted suicide is actually okay, according to both the Bible and Jewish history. The reason that the Jews at Masada slit each other's throats instead of slitting their own is so that they wouldn't go to hell. Or back then it was a little different. It was so they wouldn't get cast out of heaven. They didn't necessarily have quite the same concept of a hell as we do. I do want to point out that although I lit one fire in desperation, I also told people what I was going to do before I did it. That makes them accessories. We'll get into that later. Also, I do have a history of breaking windows. Now, if you would like to know, you can ask me what led me to such desperation. But also, if you look at my history, my YouTube and my Facebook, then you already know the approximate dates or literal dates that these things happen because you can reference them. And because you can reference them with what else was going on in my life at that point in time. What else was I dealing with? What else was going on? You can also see who is saying what to me, which is, of course, when you see what it is that they were sending me and messaging me, including Natalie's own family, you'll understand why I made the decisions that I made. Hindsight is 2020. I get that. I understand that. There's a lot of situations that I was in that Had I known I was being manipulated at the time, I would not have sung people's praises or called 911. Well, I would have called 911, but I would have called 911 over the fact they were playing fucking games with me. Now, I gotta go back. I got a hotel room for a couple of nights. I gotta go back there and go through some more evidence and get back to trying to save lives, which is what I was made for. Most of the stuff that I invented is for making the world a better place. I designed an engine with a much higher power to weight ratio than any engine I've even heard of other than in fantasy books. And it runs mostly on water. I can't say entirely on water because a pulse jet requires a flammable liquid. However, you put a sleeve around a pulse jet and you inject water directly into it, your pulse jet will last longer because it won't overheat. And of course, since it's open at the back, that steam is allowed to vent immediately, so the steam is not kept in a pressurized container, and therefore it does not have a danger of exploding. God bless America. So now you guys know a super secret that can make your life a lot better if you're able to understand the concept. I wanted to make the world a better place, and that's all I wanted to do. When people say, you can't save the world, don't fucking do that. Don't make that fucking excuse. That is a goddamn cop-out for you being a fucking pussy. 100% of the time, that is a fucking cop-out. You don't want to fucking listen. You don't want to pay attention. You don't give a shit about me. You want to talk about you. So keep talking about you. And as long as you keep talking about you, you are what ends up on my YouTube channel. Maybe you should have thought about that before offering to help me and then pressing me for other things. Also, Jessica Martindale will always be my angel. I don't mean that as my sweetheart or my secret crush. I mean that Pamela, that's her mom. Pamela understands what an angel Jessica is in the same way that I do. Not that she's a literal angel, but that she's got a good set of morals. She's got a good sense of right and wrong, and she's got an excellent sense of humanity. It's just too bad she's been silent through all of this. Alright, so I've lit, 6 fires today on video? Every time I light a cigarette. And I always put it out and make sure it does not start a forest fire, or a ground fire, or a grass fire, or a structure fire. I also follow the rule of pack in, pack out. I bring the trash in, I take it out. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.